Good morning, guys. Good to see you again. All right, this is getting exciting. We are on lesson number 6, I think now, with our resurrection eggs. And the story is going to get better soon, I promise. Let's do a quick review of our eggs so far. All right, we had the first one. Anyone remember what the first one was? The donkey. That was about Palm Sunday. All right, and then we had remember what that was? It was the 3 coins to represent when Jesus's, was friend Judas, felt money was more important than his friend and betrayed him. That's what that big word is. And then we had the cup from what's called the Last Supper with his friends that Benjamin picked up there. And then we had, remember what this one was for? For praying. Remember, for praying. Because Jesus was in the garden praying and his friends were praying and Benjamin was praying. And then we had this one, and this is where the story starts getting a little harder. This was the leather strap that was used to be mean to Jesus. And then here was the light yellow. Here was the crown. Remember, they put on his head and had things that gave him boo-boos on his head, which wasn't very good. And then this one was also something that was hard for Jesus and gave him lots of boo-boos, was the nails. And then we had the dice. All right, and this dice, remember, was used when they were playing mean games about things with Jesus's belongings that it was also used to treat him very, very poorly. And then we had the spear. Oh, wrong egg. Then we had the spear, and remember, this is because the soldiers would carry spears. And also they use that against Jesus too. So this was the hard part of the story. And now we're going to be trying to get into something a little better. But I realized that I did not share the pictures from the last couple days to show how sad everybody was. These are all his friends. There's the crosses. And, and actually Jesus is on one of those crosses. That's why they're crying and that's why they're so upset. That was a very, very hard day. And today is called Good Friday. In the Easter week, we had Palm Sunday, and now we have something called Good Friday. And today actually is Good Friday. And it's a interesting way to say it because Good Friday was the saddest day for the world and for Jesus. And also for Benjamin. It was the saddest, hardest day because Jesus wasn't here anymore. And that was a fact. So some people go, well, why would we call it Good Friday? And that's because the reason that Jesus did all this was for good and was for you. And that's what made it good. But it's a very odd way of saying something so sad could be good. And that's what you're going to hopefully understand soon. This was yesterday's story. This is where Benjamin is sad. He put the dice and the spear. He had found those and he was trying to figure all this out. He found a little piece of wood and he put it in his box. So today, friends, I made a mistake. Yesterday I said we'd do 2 eggs today. We're only doing 1 egg today. All right. So here is where our story is right now. Benjamin called Eli the next morning. Come hear the news. Benjamin stuck his head out the window and rubbed his sleepy eyes. They put soldiers outside of the place where Jesus was put, said Eli. Some say that Jesus is going to come back to life. Benjamin perked up. My grandfather told me that Jesus brought some people back from the dead when he was doing his work. Maybe it will happen again, said Eli. But the soldiers said they're making sure people don't take Jesus' body. Quickly, Benjamin dressed and raced to the tomb. Now, friends, a tomb is where they buried Jesus when he died. And it was a safe place for him to be. And it was made of rocks and stones. And things are different now when someone dies. They don't really have the tombs like that anymore, but that's what they're talking about. Quickly, Benjamin dressed and raced to the tomb. Could it be? Could Jesus have returned to life? How he hoped so. But the huge stone was still there, and the soldiers were blocking it. With mean faces, they told him to leave at once. As Benjamin walked slowly down the hill, he noticed a little bit of white cloth hanging from a branch. He picked it off and rubbed it between his fingers. His parents made stuff like this for people who died. Jesus isn't coming back, he told himself, and he went home. That night, he sadly placed the cloth in his box. This would surely be the last thing to remember his friend by. He tried to pray, but no words came, and he wondered if God even listened. So here's a picture of Benjamin. This is the tomb. There's a big rock right there that keeps the entrance closed. And here are the soldiers with their spears that we talked about, and they're guarding it. And this was very sad because at this point in the story and in the real life story, we didn't know what was going to happen. All right. And the people were scared and they were sad. And let's see what is in that egg. So this egg was the cloth egg. Oh, there it is. This represents the cloth that would have been wrapped around Jesus when he died inside the tomb. Benjamin said in our story that his parents actually made cloth like that. And so now the story is kind of tricky. We learned all these things. We saw how horribly Jesus was treated. He died on the cross, and people are hoping, but nothing's really happening in the story. And today, like I said, is Good Friday, and that represents the day he actually died. And then the next day, like we learned from Benjamin, nothing happened. And for a lot of people, that was a very hard day. But also God was quiet. And sometimes, friends, when we don't understand something like what's going on right now, and it feels like God is so far away, and it feels like nothing's changing and nothing's happening, that does not mean that God is still not working. But God knows more than we do, and he understands better the whole plan and why all this is happening. But we're not God. We're human beings. We can't think like God. We just can't. We're not him. So we need to trust that God understands the plan, even when he's quiet and we don't see anything happening. So friends, I'm not going to be reading to you tomorrow because tomorrow would be that quiet day when nothing really happened as far as we know it. So we're going to pause, and we're not going to come tomorrow, and I'm not going to read the story or look at any eggs. But the next day, I will have 2 eggs. And that's when the story gets really awesome. So I love you. I'm praying for you. And we'll see each other in 2 days. Bye-bye.